So how can I help?
Well, part of that team
what can I answer for you?
building of what we're doing
Sure.
is really just trying to, especially in your case, because you're an entrepreneur and you are an angel investor as well, and you've also brought along a lot of these different sorts of teams, and you had a own competition yourself.
Yeah.
So you're a person that's really, really great to speak to in terms of getting advice of how to develop this from the ground up, really. And I also have a pitch deck here if you wanted to see some stuff, but it's not so much more compared to what I just mentioned.
I think it's good. I think I got a general idea, and I think so. The first thing I'd say is that it sounds like a great idea, and it's a cool thing. There are several things that I'd say. The first is, with Uniting the Americas, that is my competition that I started just 2 years ago in 2018, and it's similar in the sense of it's focused on entrepreneurship that's happening in Latin America, and then I bring them to the U.S. So the last 2 years we brought 4 winners. 2 winners from in 2018 we brought them to Silicon Valley, and then this year we were in New York.
Okay.
So the idea was we opened it up. We charged. So thinking through revenue-wise, there are a number of ways you can do it. First of all, you can open it up and you can charge a small application fee. I charge $25. The platform I use takes 4 of those. So I make $21 per application.
Mm-hmm.
That in and of itself is definitely not a money maker, because I have a lot of expenses that go along with the competition, because we turn it into an entire reality TV show.
Mm-hmm. And you had about 250 applications.
We had the first year 250. This year we had 150. So we've had about 400 applications over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And for a number of reasons, that we didn't travel as much this year, so the applications were down a little bit because I wasn't speaking as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I was also experimenting with some other social media stuff. So it was I'm still very new in it as well, I'll tell you that. But what I will tell you that's really worked is a couple different things. Number one, figuring out how to make money on it is a smart idea, but I almost view it as secondary to the brand play itself. What that means is, in this case, you're doing it under the guise of a university system, right?
Yeah.
Under CUNY, so that will help you a lot. In my case, I did it all by myself. It was all my own funding. We had a couple of sponsors, but very small check sponsors. So I invested 6 figures of money into this. So what I would say is the first thing is get CUNY excited about it and tap into every single connection that CUNY has for you, right? That's the first thing. You might not even need to look at externally for other sponsors, because you might find that CUNY has everything that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So start where you are. I'm really into this idea of starting where you are. Instead of going and knocking on 122 different doors that don't know you, knock on the one that you live in, right? And so that's step 1. Step 2, I would say, get people excited about it by creating content at scale as a reality TV show. So your content doesn't need to be polished, and this is the thing. My first year, our videos got millions of views the first year, and it was me and one guy, Mauricio, and we traveled literally for 6 months together all over the country and all over Latin America, and we just told the story of day-to-day living, where it was a conference here, a keynote here, like what we're doing here, an interview here. People get excited to be a part of the journey. So what we're doing right now, you should be doing with everybody. Mm-hmm. These kinds of talks, because what's really fun is
documenting everything. Totally.
Okay. These videos are great. What's really fun is because you'll want that over time. Mm-hmm. 7 years into this, it'll be really fun to look back when you were still seriously.
You have history.
If you think about it, this is what I love, man. It's we worked down on 85 Broad Street with my assistant at the time. Her name was Sandra Victorio. And this idea just came to me about this entrepreneurship competition in Latin America to connect the Americas. This is literally how I'm talking to her. And I want to bring them to the U.S., and I want to invest in their company, and I want to connect them to different venture capitalists. And we have that video from December of 2017.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so now we're 2 years in, and we have new content, but putting together that content is really fun. So I think that my first piece of advice is use CUNY as much as you can. CUNY's a great school. They're very forward-thinking. Jump in there. Second thing is document the whole thing. And even if it's just like, you know, on your phone, like we're doing this on my phone,
Yeah.
you know, do it on your phone and put it together. And then the third thing is, as you think about documenting it, you're going to have a lot of individual meetings like this, and that's great. But what I would start to do is I would start to build a community around it. So I would start to intentionally, strategically create content. I would start to do interviews with public health entrepreneurs in New York City. I would start to do interviews with other leaders and other people in the public health world. I would start to do interviews with foundations. I would start to do interviews, because what's going to happen is you can ask, you know, I'm happy to do this because you have great energy and Fred's a great friend, but for a lot of people that don't know who you are, they'll be more reluctant to say yes if you just ask the way you asked me, which is, can I have some time to talk? They'll be much more likely to say yes if you say, I'm creating a TV show around a new public health incubator that we're putting in, and we've identified you as an expert. Can I have 15 minutes of your time to interview you? That's a much easier ask and a much easier yes, because then you're almost stroking their ego and you've identified them as a leader, and that's going to make them feel good. And then they don't see it so much as you're just taking 15 minutes of my time. They're seeing it more as I am now participating in the process of creating something new.
And also marketing themselves.
Totally.
In their own personal brand.
Absolutely. And that's the value that you bring.
Yeah.
Because right now you don't have a lot to offer because you're the one that's asking for the favor. If you can flip it, I always am trying to think about the ways that I can offer the favor, which is, and then I'm happy to give you the video, you can use it on your social media, whatever they want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way of getting into people's offices. The other thing that achieves is when you're in those people's offices, now they know who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And you're building a relationship, and so when it comes time to ask them for $5,000 or for access to their space at NYU or wherever, you know, whoever you're talking to, now all of a sudden they know who you are. Oh, Alessandro, he was here, yeah, we did an interview, yeah, cool, right? Now all of a sudden they know who you are.
Yeah.
The fourth thing is you just got to start by finding some teams that want to participate, and then have them become part of that machine. So steps 2 and 3, you know, a big part of steps 2 and 3 are going to be showcasing the people that have ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And you should be, regardless of if they win the seat at the incubator or the accelerator or not, you should be every single week or as often as you can interviewing participants. And this is something that I haven't done well over the last 2 years that I think is a big reason that applications went down this year. I think I need to be more involved with the people that are actually participating in the competition.
Mm-hmm.
So you find them, they apply, you interview them, and it can be pretty quick. It can be a 10-minute interview. Tell us about your product, tell us about your service, tell us about your idea. Why did you apply for this accelerator? What do you care about? And then if you can figure out, you know, how to do that, which should be easy with a phone. The other thing I would do is I would do a weekly or as often as you can Facebook, Instagram Live. You as the leader, your group members as the leaders, interviewing people and answering questions. This was a really big new thing I did this year that was really helpful for applications. I got so many of my applications off of Instagram and Facebook Lives.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
They want to know, or they would refer it to somebody else, or, you know, and that was a huge way for me to build up. And people look forward to it. And, you know, I should have been better about doing it every Wednesday, for example. I would be a little bit more sporadic.
It's all about consistency.
It is all about consistency, honestly. But as long as you're doing that, it's better to do that a little bit sporadically than never at all.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stick. I always say sustainable content creation is the best way to gain a following, because, you know, I watch these guys and they put out 33 videos in a month and then they don't do anything for the next 12 months because they're so burnt out and they're out of ideas. It's much better to do 4 videos a month for the next 12 months and get those 36 videos over the course of a year than to do, you know, so to burn out. So I think that those are quick takes that I would say, you know, before even the pitch deck and before even any of that stuff happens, what you need to start to do is when you go to somebody, an investor or a foundation, you need to come to them with some sort of story prepared, and that story will only happen once you start. We can sit here and talk for 3 hours about all the ways that it could happen, and you could have 100 conversations with people. I think that, and those are, it's fine to have conversations with people and it's fine to game plan, but I just don't want you to waste your time in the sense of, nothing is a waste of time, but in the sense of,
I don't have much time.
well, you don't have
Resource.
much time, and not only that, but the conversations come and then they go. Whereas if you do this, they're here forever.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest piece of advice I can give you is bring your cell phone to every meeting, and if the people are cool, film.
Yeah.
Document it.
That's interesting.
The winners, the foundations, the professors, you, your co-founders, the accelerator, this space. Where are you going to have it? How did it look before? How did it look after? What kind of ideas came in? Every week you could talk about a new idea that you're excited about that came in. What are your ideas? And then you say applications are open at cuny.com/accelerator, public health accelerator. You get to create this whole thing. What I would start to do now is, even if you don't release any of the content for a while, just have it.
Yeah. You know, like just thinking about that, like I actually, the way I've started this too, and like I needed some sort of content, and because I'm doing public health and I'm in academia, one of the things is, what is the first thing that people in public health do? Write a commentary paper or write like a published article or something like that. So that's been my first way of going. However, you know, like so one thing that I started to do is interview different public health related startups that are really interesting, that are up and coming, that I want to include in this commentary paper just as examples of the kinds of ventures that I want to incubate.
That's great.
But you're right, I need to turn that into something way more accessible.
But you can do
I need
both.
to make that, yes, exactly.
You can do both, and you should do both.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I can already tell that you're thinking about this right. So it's, you know, do the video and then write an article about the video later.
Yeah, make a blog about it, or at least, or but doing those published things, do as many channels as I can.
As many channels as you can.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know where people are. I mean, somebody on LinkedIn might see an article that you put up, or 3 minutes of this video that you put up, and they say, I have $100,000, I want to give it to you. It works like that.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing.
Mm-hmm.
So don't use your time wisely. And the way to do that is to document the process and to put that out in your own way, however it feels right for you. But I think, you know, with CUNY's blessing and approval, because you also don't want to do things that are going to make them mad at you and shut the whole thing down.
Yeah.
But with CUNY's approval, if they're like, you know what, yeah, you can do that. You can put out a blog. I would put out a vlog post every single day of what I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
Today I talked to this guy, Brian. He has a competition in Latin America called Uniendo Las Americas, where he brings Latino entrepreneurs to the U.S. I pitched his brain. Here were the 4 things he taught me about starting an accelerator, or starting an international competition, or starting a local competition. What did he miss? What else would you add? And then all of a sudden the comments start coming in and you're building the community. The next thing is everybody wants to know how to create a pitch deck. Everybody wants to know how to present a pitch deck. Everyone wants to know how to find investors. I mean, right there you have 3 new videos.
Yeah.
You have 3 new articles. So what I would say is, don't hold on so tight to the idea that the goal is the accelerator. Open up a little bit more, open the mind a little bit more, become a little bit more expansive and say the goal is to show people that change is possible.
Yeah.
And that if I can create something that's going to be massively impactful in the community of public health, so can you. Whether it be you do something in public health and I do something in recycling, or you do something in vegan food and I do something in recycling, or do you see what I'm saying?
I need to approach it a little bit more with a vision.
Expansive.
And then later on try to narrow down or something. But these kinds of, but like when you say like these kinds of conversations happening, like I also need to figure out how to really share a story and share my vision a little bit more in these kind of introductory conversations.
Well, I think you're.
Than I would be just going straight into like, this is my idea, this is what I'm thinking, and this is my strategy. And I don't know what you think.
I think you're being hard on yourself. Okay. I think you did a good job. I think that, you know, you're here's everything to keep in mind. You're so in it. This is consuming your thoughts. This is your thing. So if for me taking kind of an aerial view down, what I heard you say is public health is a huge problem. Our solutions to the public health problems are a bit outdated. There are a lot of great ideas to critical problems that are not being met, and they don't really live in one place. So what I want to do is I want to bring those ideas together, roof them under one building, and start small with a pilot and see what we can do from there.
That really makes sense. And it's a lot more digestible too.
That's what you should say. I mean, that's what I understood. I mean, not even that's what you should say. That's what you did say to me.
Yeah.
And in the process, we are documenting it to inspire other people that want to lead change, to show them how we went about doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the missing piece that I'm hoping that you get from this is you'd be shocked, bro, how many people write me about the videos that we've put out over the last few years. They're just like, that one line, and this is the thing, don't judge yourself about the content being good.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that I think is good gets no views. The stuff that I tell my team not to put out because I think it's crap is the stuff that gets the most of it.
Yeah. You just never really know exactly.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And the thing that you say might be, you know, that might be the unlock for the person that applies and wins. I'll tell you a story. I think you'll appreciate this. The first year of Uniendo Las Americas, Uniendo Las Americas, we're in Guatemala and we're doing an 8-day tour, and they have me packed from 7, 8 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. I mean, we're full. Speeches, conferences, meetings, beaches, conferences, to promote this event. And it's about day 7, and I'm tired, and Mauricio, the guy that was with me, is tired. We're both tired, and he's been filming, and we've been editing, late nights, full on. And we walk into a university, and there are 4 students at the talk.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-hour talk. And we've been used to talking in front of groups of like 100 or 200, and this is 4 people.
Yeah.
And he said to me, man, maybe you should be a little bit more selective about what you say yes to.
Mm.
Because there's only 4 people here. You're about to exert 2 hours of energy. I have to film. We're going to run out of battery, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, I understood that. But I said to him, the right people will always appear.
Mm.
And one of those 4 people was the winner.
Really? Wow, that's amazing.
One of those 4 people was the winner of 2018.
Yeah. Gosh.
And we have it on camera.
Nice.
And so my point with all that is, the right people will appear, just put stuff out there.
Yeah.
And you're cool, you speak well, you're a good looking guy, like there's no reason, unless you're gonna get in trouble with the school, so clear it with them, but I'm sure they'd be fine with it.
The school is an interesting thing. When you mentioned it's the first thing you thought of, that's actually one of the first things that I thought of, especially when reaching out to Fred. However, the guy who's really leading this, who I met in the beginning, who was interested in this, who was a public health, he's super accomplished in public health and doing all these studies and stuff like that. And he approached me saying, like, I want to develop this social entrepreneurship platform for people with public health. I was like, really? I didn't think that anybody else had this kind of vision before.
Awesome.
Really want to be into it. So I helped him volunteer and such. And so when we started doing this and started doing some outreach recently, the first thing I said to him was like, okay, there's all these programs within CUNY that have to do with entrepreneurship already. There already is an ecosystem of entrepreneurial activity, but I don't know what the connectedness of all of them are. They all seem to be very fragmented, and it may be a lot of wasted money going on in there. And that's also when I realized Fred's program, but you would have never really realized a Fred's program in there, And so when I was saying to him, I was like, okay, I ended up getting in touch with Fred on like totally my own terms, but I would say to my professors, like, hey, what about if I reach out to all these different programs and figure out how we can maybe develop partnerships or just have advice or just start conversations? And he's like, I don't really think so. And like he kind of is like avoiding that, but he also is avoiding that for one point that he makes is kind of making it seem like we're the ones that with a silver bullet solution. Like we're the ones that are better than others, and he doesn't want to come across that way in some kind of way.
But if you're seeking advice, then you don't assume to know everything.
Yeah, right. It comes across as more humble, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is that's one person's point of view.
Yeah.
Right. So this is the other point. This is the other point that's really important for you, and you have to navigate this because you're in a system. The reason that I love being out of a system, which is me being my own boss and running my own company, is that if one person tells me not to do something, I don't have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to figure out how you can still play within that system and not get in trouble, right? Or get out of that system and do whatever you want, or a combination of the both. I think a combination would work for you. I don't think you need to like leave CUNY to do what you want to do.
Yeah, and that's what's great about this guy too, because he is open to these kinds of things. But I feel like if I just am also able to frame it in a certain way and approach it in a certain way, then it's gonna be like, okay, it works.
Would this be the first program there?
The first entrepreneurial program at School of Public Health?
Yeah.
Yes, like certainly.
That's awesome.
Like there's not even like a practical sort of experience with everything. Like they have like a field work sort of thing where they do an internship. It's nothing. It does not actually encouraging anybody to be their own project director or their own like program to like get a grant fund for. You know, they don't really have that sort of experience there yet, but it's still kind of a new program relatively.
Sure. I
So-
think it's really smart what you're doing. I think it's really cool what you're doing. I think it's really important what you're doing. I think it'll be a success, and I think that it'll be really fun for you to document the whole process.
Yeah, I think so too.
That's my strongest intuition for you right now.
Mhm.
All of it. And talk about all of it openly. You talk about your pitch deck openly. You mentioned to me like you were a little bit nervous about sharing the pitch deck on camera.
Yeah.
The idea, that's a common...
It's the way the world works.
It's a common concern.
Nobody has a secret anymore. People never thought of this before.
It's the most common thing that I hear with people that want to be entrepreneurs that are not yet entrepreneurs. Yeah. Everyone's so scared of people stealing their ideas. I don't care. I don't think
so either.
Bro, listen.
Yeah, you're right.
Literally don't spend 1 second worrying about anyone else stealing my idea, because you can steal my idea, you still won't be able to execute it in the same way that I have in my head, number one. Number two, I'll have 100 more this week. Like seriously, you cannot stop my idea machine brain.
Yeah, right.
You can't stop it. And the minute you get there, your game will change to one of more of abundance and excitement and creativity and collaboration, and less kind of like honing. Like I'm just it's all for me. It's all for me. It's all.
Yeah, it should. No.
It can't.
Especially this kind of program.
It
It's all for everybody else. What I'm trying to do is provide an infrastructure for everybody else to succeed. You know, there's nothing secretive about it.
And that's a video in itself. I mean, you could probably go home tonight and write down 100 videos you could do, and you should start doing them.
Yeah, right.
That's my quick take.
It's really important.